From generation to generation, the way of life in the villages of the Gaspé didn't change much. Harvests were reaped from the land and from the sea. The lumber industry of the Baie des Chaleurs had its beginning in the 18th century, shipping spars and planks for the Navy of George III. At Bathurst, New Brunswick in 1914, men of enterprise built under the name of the Bathurst Lumber Company one of the first pulp mills in eastern Canada. In 1923, newsprint was produced, and in 1931, this mill became the first in Canada to make kraft linerboard on a fourdrinier machine. It continued to diversify, adding to its products different types of paper boards for packaging. Linerboard was shipped from here to box-making plants in other parts of Canada. After World War II, the Bathurst Company developed its own converting operations. By 1962, the company's home and foreign markets were expanding so rapidly that a new and larger mill was needed. The provincial and federal governments were eager to give the economy of the Baie des Chaleurs the shot in the arm that the new industry would provide. The company had 1,500 square miles of timber limits in the Gaspé. Bathurst's new linerboard mill would be built at New Richmond, Quebec. For many years, New Richmond had been the headquarters of the company's Quebec woodlands operation. It was a quiet little town, isolated economically from the rest of Canada. Then came the spring of 1964. In the snow-covered fields of 3 farms on the outskirts of town, surveyors came to mark off the 90 acres of mill site. Men with bulldozers and drilling equipment to begin preliminary work for the foundation of a new mill. Bathurst had put 3 years of study into the project. Now, with the cooperation of the federal and provincial governments, it was to become a reality. This was good farmland, but 3 farms employ only 3 families. The new mill, together with its woodlands operation, would employ more than 900 men. During the 16-month construction period, it was a race against time. When the project is complete, the mill, along with the housing development and the woodlands mechanization program, will represent a $42 million investment. These digesters are the largest fully automated batch type in the world. In them, wood chips will be pressure cooked with chemicals to form different grades of pulp. Thousands of parts and hundreds of major components were shipped from manufacturers all over the country. In August 1965, the mill, with landscaping complete, went into operation. North America's most modern kraft linerboard mill. In the meantime, in the 1,500 square miles of timber limits under license to the company in the Gaspé, a network of roads and bridges was constructed. Roads to the hinterland, not logging tracks slashed through the bush, but roads designed to carry heavy trucks and trailers. Mechanization of the hauling of a greater wood harvest than ever before was accomplished in the incredibly short time of 1 year. Loaded in the bush, unloaded at the mill, 2,500 tons of wood a day to produce the daily quota of 600 tons of linerboard. Day long, 10 months of the year, the balsam, spruce, poplar, and birch roll from the hills to the mill yard. In local terms, this means more jobs for New Richmond's men. In provincial and national terms, it symbolizes efficient economic use of a natural resource. 8 and 16-foot logs are moved by conveyor systems into the debarkers. The bark is dried for use as fuel. Debarked logs move into the chipper, and minutes later, they emerge as chips, 3/4 of an inch long. In addition to the chips of pulpwood from the Bathurst woodlands, truckload after truckload comes in from neighboring sawmills to help maintain a steady flow of raw material to the mill. Pulp is partly judged by its appearance. Pulp samples are regularly taken at the wet end. Within seconds, the sample is in the lab. The moisture is removed. At the wet end of the paper machine, pulp is about 99.3% water. The sample is further dried by heating. Characteristics of each specimen are coded and recorded. Speed is of the essence. The information is sent by closed-circuit television to the operator who controls the machine. It takes only 40 seconds for the pulp to pass over the 68 rollers, which evaporate a ton of water per minute, to reach the dry end of the four-denier machine. At the dry end, a sample is taken from every roll for testing. Kraft is the German word for strength. full capacity, the mill produces more than 200,000 tons of linerboard a year, enough linerboard to fill the company's export and domestic needs. A mile from New Richmond at Black Cape, the company operates its own deep-sea wharf, built jointly with the federal government to handle year-round shipping. Export of linerboard to foreign markets has not been large in the past, but already Canada is participating in markets previously served by U.S. and Scandinavian board mills. Cargoes are moving out regularly to the UK, to Germany, to France, and to Italy. But most of the product of the new mill goes to the 9 plants of Bathurst Containers Limited and to other Canadian manufacturers of corrugated boxes. The increased flow of material from New Richmond steps up the capacity of the company's plant in Montreal. Fed through the corrugator, linerboard is mated with corrugated material to produce board up to 7 feet wide. Printer slotters, folder gluers, and other high-speed equipment cut and score the sheets and imprint brand messages in many different colors. The products of the Gaspé forests now move into the stage of secondary manufacturing, again contributing to the national economy. Nations with a high standard of living are not those who sell their raw resources, but those who process their resources and sell the finished products to the world. For the village, this change in the economic pattern opens up new opportunities. For many of the mill hands, it provides their first regular employment. For some who have worked in the pulp industry before, there's an opportunity for upgrading their skills. Better jobs mean more money, and so there are upgraded houses, too, in a new park on a bluff above the sea. And yet the village retains some of the comfortable old ways, too. The youngsters growing up today in New Richmond have something to look forward to, an economic future soundly based on a growing resource. There will be more mechanization. The skidder is replacing the bush horse. The chainsaw may eventually disappear. Already a 60-foot tree can be limbed, topped, and felled by the tree harvester. Up-to-date forest management techniques and natural regeneration will provide a constant harvest. The new mill at New Richmond, built through the cooperation of industry, governments, and the people of the village, will bring a new economic vitality to the north shore of Bay Chaleur.